Hey everyone, welcome to this video. I promised the warrior community I would do a video on this, and it's something that I recently learned a little bit about, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have a huge amount of expertise in this, but I will be able to get you started. You can establish this, and it's business credit, okay? So I'm going to talk about 3 things you need to get started. I will be doing some more videos over the next several months on business credit, and people ask me, should I get business credit? Will it be good? Will I use it? And there's a few things I want to say on that, but before I do that, and before I get into the 3 things and some key features about business credit, do me a favor. If you've not subscribed to my channel, come on, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to my channel. I talk about crypto. I talk about surplus funds. I talk about raising kids and trying to get them in business. I talk about a lot. So come on and subscribe to my channel and click the notification link below because I'd love for you to be one of my lucky winners. The first question I get is, what type of LLC, S Corp, C Corp should you set up? And I would say talk to a tax professional and even a liability, because there are some corporations where people do it for liability reasons, tax reasons. I know LLCs are nice and simple, but I won't be able to give you the best advice on that one. You really need to talk to a professional in regard to that. I will say your first step though is to establish a business. If it's an LLC, if it's an S Corp, C Corp. I know that I developed I went into a C Corp, into an S Corp. I do like LLCs. Are really simple. You have to establish the right business and you want to talk to the right person. I like Laughlin and Associates. They're based out of Nevada. They're great. Zendesk and some other groups online have them, and you could just Google online on which is the best corporation and what to go with. You just want to make sure it's reputable and it's not some little company. I do know like a lot of corporations, when they get pierced, it's because they're these fly-by-me corporations. I do pay someone to keep my notes and my minutes. I have regular meetings to make sure we're up to par, because if you ever have a lawsuit against you, are you held personally liable? When I sign president of JD Vista. I don't sign just JD Vista because I'm not JD Vista. I'm the president of JD Vista, and I'm the president of a corporation. And you have to be able to distinguish between you and the corporation. You don't want to be the same. I do know that. But your first step is to establish a corporation and get one established. And you can do that through so many different avenues and so many different routes. Now, I will say that I have my corporation established, and I started saying that you also want to get an EIN, an employer identification number, and I'll talk about that in a second. I will say that with the corporation, one of the things I like is I can rent my house out. I think it's 12 times a year. My CPA does it. I think I do it 14, but I can only get it 12. And I use my entire house for business for 12 times a year. Now, you don't pay taxes on that. So let's look at what that would look like. Okay, you take the square footage of, or what I do is I take the square footage of my house and I compare that to what the hotels are going and what rooms would rent for that square footage. And I usually take about 3. I add them up and I divide it by 3. So say one's 1,000, say one's 1,500, say one's 2,000. I'd go with the middle one at 1,500. Although if there's a few at 2,000 and I could justify that, I would go with the 2,000. But you want to be able to justify your numbers there, because worst case scenario, you get audited. You want to be able to claim that. But I'm able to do that with my corporation. My CPA is able to do that, and I do that. Okay, so that's one thing. Secondly, you could do is you could put your kids on payroll, which helps out a lot, and they should have responsibilities and duties that they could do as kids. You just don't want to say, oh, my kids are on payroll. You actually want them to be on payroll, and what do they do? Do you have them do filing, computer work, looking up data, shredding paper, maybe you have them modeling for commercials you do in your business, or all the above. You want to be able to justify how you're putting your kids on payroll. Vehicle use, if you're using your personal vehicle, that's something that you could write off. There's so many different ways. Those are 3 that I'll give you right off the bat. So like when I go to my mailbox, I drive up there, that's a write-off. If I'm flipping a property and I drive to the property, that's a write-off. If I go to Home Depot to pick up supplies, that's a write-off in the vehicle. And that's why, surplus funds is my first love. Flipping houses has become a side hustle for me. I still do it, and I pick up supplies and stuff occasionally. So I do have a truck for that reason, and I do use a vehicle. It is primarily used for my business. So I take that. I've used the purchase price of the vehicle that I have for my business. I've written that off with the IRS as that, and watch the IRS be watching like, okay, we're gonna give you a call. But I've actually written that off with the IRS, and then I justify my miles by using it with backing up on receipts that you want to be able to do, or like, yeah, I went to UPS to notarize these documents. Right here's the receipts. Right here's the mileage. You want everything. You want to be able to keep logs. I do use a mile tracker on my phone. I think it's called Mile IQ or something like that. It's pretty decent. It was referred to me by someone and it's been pretty good. So you have an established LLC, corporation, C Corp, S Corp, whatever you have. The second thing you want to do is, like I said a minute ago, you want to get the EIN, which is called the Employer Identification Number. Now, one of the guys that works with us in Surplus Funds, great guy, was recently going to get an EIN. He was going to pay $200 for an EIN. You can get it through the IRS and I think it's free. You don't have to pay anything. So don't pay anything for your EIN. Just go ahead and get it and go and have that. So you've got your LLC, you've got your EIN. The next thing you need is you need a good solid business address. Okay, so what I do with my business is I have a mailbox. It's not a PO box, it's a mailbox that I can go to, and it just sounds a lot more professional. So if you've heard me on the phone and you heard me say and I've done a lot of cold calling and I've done a lot of live cold calling, I always say, this is David from JD Vista, which is absolutely true. That's my corporation. And then I go in to say a little bit about what we do and how we do it. I have a mailing address for that corporation that people could send me mail. I could send mail back to, receive mail back and forth. Just because my personal residence, it's my time, it's my family time. I don't want mail or somebody showing up or, just documents coming here. I want to be able to enjoy the house and have it at my leisure. I mean, yeah, I rent it out a few times a year, but you still don't want to be having business happen at your house all the time. The next thing you really need is you need an established business phone number. So you should have a phone number that's established with your business and looking into getting that. With that being done, you've now set up your business. You have a business. Now you have to know what you're getting yourself into. Like California, you have to pay to have a corporation. Every few months you have to pay, I think, $800 or something like that to be able to keep your corporation in that state. I think the cheapest state is Wisconsin. But again, you have to have a residency or a mailbox or something, I believe. Double check this, but I believe in Wisconsin. But you have to have a good solid address. Know the state that you want to get into. Know the rules of the state. Nevada, I've heard it's the easiest. I don't have one in Nevada, but I've heard that it's the easiest to be able to go to and do business there. So just check out the state, know the rules, know what you're going to be paying, how much you're going to be paying, how much is your mailbox? Is it like $30-40 a month? Is it $100 a month? And then, phone number. I use Google Voice for mine and it works out just fine. I have that listed as my business number and that's okay. Now, once you get all that done, then you want to start looking and doing stuff in your business. So there's companies that I use like Notary 24/7. And if you're looking for a good notary service, I love Notary 24/7. I'm not getting anything out of recommending them. I just recently had a surplus fund deal where a woman lived in Florida. She moved up into, I forget where, it was like Louisiana or something like that. And she lived in this really remote area. And Notary 24/7, it took about a good week, but they actually got somebody out there. And the guy called me. He was really friendly. He's like, hey, if you need anybody or you want to refer me out, I'm like, you know what? As much as I appreciate that, and as much as I'd love to use you in the future, the problem is what's the chances of me doing a tax overage up in Louisiana ever? And the people moving up to this area in Louisiana, I said, realistically, dude, I'll keep your name all day long, and you've more than earned your service, but yeah, I doubt if that happens again. I was wrong. And she goes, I know. It's kind of the area and it's where we're at. Now, once you do that and once you get that done, I've also got, I want to make sure I say this correctly, a Dun and Bradstreet number as well. I've registered my corporation with them. Why? Because they are like a credit report agency, and I'm going to probably do another video on that. There's 2 additional steps. So I've answered the whole intro to this video. And again, keep in mind, I'm Surplus Funds. I talk a lot about investments and stuff I do. I've been asked about business credit. Now, what good would business credit do in a surplus fund business? Well, going on to the Notary 24/7, if you get a credit card, you could start paying with that with your credit card, and you could start building up business credit that way. Then let's say you're using your vehicle to go to UPS to send something off to your clients, or you're doing something and you're putting gas in your car and you're keeping mileage, you get a credit card. You can then use that way, and you can build business credit. And you want to be able to slowly be building business credit. It's interesting how people do this. Again, this is totally new to me, something that I haven't done a whole lot of. I mean, I do have it. I have established it. Shell has a business where you get pretty much approved. Amazon has a business credit card where you get approved. Now, one of the questions when I did mine on Amazon is it asked me, will you back this up with your personal credit? Now, I checked off no for two reasons. Number one is I don't want my personal credit, my business credit commingling. I don't know what the liabilities are, but it's kind of like what I taught you in the beginning. JD Vista is a corporation, and I'm president of that corporation. I'm president of it, and that's my title. So when I sign, I'm not JD Vista. I sign it David Church, president of JD Vista, and all my signatures go on like that because I am the legal registered president with that. So if I have my personal credit backing up my credit cards and stuff like that, it's going to get weird. Now, some places do have it, and there's banks, and I'll talk about this in another video too, where you can get a business credit card and you have to back it financially with dollars. Let me explain what that means. So let's say that you go into a bank, and you could Google this and see which ones do, and they'll go ahead and they'll say, yeah, we'll do this. Like say it's Chase, and I don't think Chase does it, but let's say Chase does it. You walk into a Chase bank and you give them a $500 either cash check, what have you, and then you have a credit card through Chase, and it's worth $500. After a year, they'll reevaluate you. Have you paid on time? Have you been responsible? Usually when that happens, and getting out of bankruptcy in 2011, this is how I established my credit. My credit union allowed me to put $1,000 in, and they gave me a credit card. And I got offered that. It's amazing. When I had to file bankruptcy, and it was really sad, I had 4 properties. I had 2 in Ohio that went from a value of $70,000, and I was all in them for $35,000 down to like a value of like $4,000 or $5,000. I mean, Ohio was almost like a Detroit. I was worth like negative $500,000. I mean, $500,000 negative value is what I was worth. And it was really sad. When I filed bankruptcy, and I had to go before a judge, and it was very intimidating. I'm sitting there in the court. My attorney's assistant, he walked in and sits down next to me, and we start talking, and we get called up. I get called up, and he walks up with me. And the judge looked at him, and the guy's name was Steve. He goes, "Hey, Steve, how you doing?" And Steve answered and asked the judge how he was doing. And they started talking. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is a really good thing here. This is a good thing that this is happening. But because I had property, the judge looked at me and he said, "Mr. Church, we're going to have to go through your files. We're not going to be able to dismiss this." And I had the Ohio properties, which were worth nothing. And I held on to those for a little while, and then I ended up selling them. But he goes, "We're going to have to look at this and really evaluate this." It took about almost a year to get my bankruptcy discharged. It was very intimidating. After it gets discharged, I get these offers to buy a car at this outrageous interest rate, where like it'd be like 4 times, and God provides, God's great. I really needed a new car. I had a buddy who was making payments on his truck, and he could no longer afford it, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to take over my payments." I'm like, "I don't have the credit to do it." And he's like, "I'll co-sign. I know you're a teacher." And he did. He co-signed for me, and I took over his loan, and it was great. And then when I got the truck, I got the pink slip and kept that for a long time. I mean, yeah, the good Lord provided all the way through, and it was a great area of my life. Okay, so but it amazed me that like all of a sudden I get these like because I can't file bankruptcy again. No place, like you can't get a visa, you can't get no place will look at you. And I just shared in a previous video about getting stuck at an airport and one of my credit cards canceling. I mean, it's just like you're done for the longest time. But my credit union had a program where I was able to get a credit card for $1,000, up to $1,000. I put $1,000 down, and it was supposed to be for a year. And about a year and a month into this, I called them, and they went ahead and they gave me the $1,000 back and let me have a true credit card. But it is counted as a credit card. You go rent a car, and you're able to establish yourself back. So they will have programs like that when you're trying to build business credit. Now, a couple things. If you get business credit, like for me, I would say like when you're sending notaries out, when you're doing UPS and you're in this business, it would be great to have a little business credit where you could just put it on your credit card and then pay it. And then as you start getting the checks coming in, and it's great when you go to your mailbox and you don't know if you have a check in it or not versus a bill. It's great when you know you have them coming. There's nothing better than walking in and finding a check for thousands of dollars in your mailbox. You're get yes, and you're doing that, and then you pay those credit cards off. You keep on revolving around and you build up your business credit. So I want to go back to the basics. Okay, the first one is to establish your corporation and get an EIN, and some of those that could be considered 1 or 2 steps. So there might be 4 steps here, but I said 3. That should be 1. Don't pay for an EIN number. Okay, get that on your own. It's simple to do. It's free by the IRS. all someone's going to do is make a call or file paperwork to the IRS on your behalf and go for it. Number 2 is get a business address, business is registered, and number 3 is get a business number. That would be a great start for you. Hey, hope you like this video. Honestly, tell me what you think about it. If you have business credit and you want to contribute to this and tell someone else what they could do to establish good business credit, do me a favor and just tell us below in the comment section. Also, I'm going like this because I'd like you to subscribe to my channel. I will be doing some more credit videos, probably not until 2022 at this point. This will be my first one. And if you're following this and you don't have business credit and you're establishing it, it's going to take you a few weeks to get this going. And then my next video will hopefully be that much more of a guidance to you. And hopefully the comment section and people helping each other out will also be a good guidance for you. Appreciate you watching, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.